Today is about resetting ourselves after a year of disruption, reflection, and reinvention. It is about moving into 2022 with a plan based on what you learned about your business, the facts that are in front of you, and about the business you desire for 2022. By the time this hour is over, the goal is that as a group, we have collected data and ideas you will be able to put into the framework. This framework will help bring clarity to where you want to go, the discipline you need to get there, and the plan to keep you accountable. This will be the framework we will be using for the Wedding co-marketing initiative we are launching. More on that to come. Marketing is much bigger than ads you pay for and the organic social media practices you have. So as you can imagine, when I started to prepare for this mastermind, I realized I had to be very intentional about what we mastermind and how we did it. Before we dive in, I think it's important to remember what masterminding is. Masterminding is peer-to-peer mentoring. It is the belief that knowledge sharing is power. There are no winners. No one has a winning solution. No one wins at marketing. No one wins at business. It's knowing the wisdom of the crowd will keep you current. So the format today, this is a large group, but I've decided to keep it together so we can stay on point and make the most of our time. I will be asking 3 very important data-seeking questions, and I'm counting on people to share their answers. If you could please put your hand up with the, now that I know, reactions icon at the bottom. I guess they've changed it. So now you go down to reactions, click on that, and you can put your hand up. Where I actually see that, I don't know, but we'll go from there. That would be great. We'll try it. If I'm not reacting to your reactions, start waving at me. So today we are masterminding marketing for 2022. If you are not innovating and preparing for 2022 yet, this is going to be a great start. The topics we are focusing on are innovation, strategy, planning. As for tactics, I know you all want the magical Instagram feature that will guarantee you success, but it's very important that we do the groundwork first. We will be following up with a marketing tactics mastermind on April 6th. Okay, we're going to dive in. Innovation. To market yourself, you have to have something to market, an innovation. We innovate and create to change people's lives or make their lives easier. We all have experienced innovation in the past year. These innovations, successful or unsuccessful, should influence what you innovate for 2022. We can also use facts to help us decide what to innovate. So at this point, we're going to try and paint a picture of what 2022 will look like based on what people already have in their calendars. So the first question that I have is, what do you already have booked, if you do, for 2022? For example, are most of your weddings postponements from 2020? How many new bookings do you have? Are couples who had micro weddings planning the big parties they thought they were going to plan? What size are the weddings? What are the venues people are booking? What are the dress designs, accessories you're creating? And what type of flowers are they ordering? So I just want to say something. During this process, you must be very aware of what resonates with you. There's going to be many ideas, and if something piques your interest, this is something you need to investigate. So, does anybody want to start by just giving us an indication of if they have anything on their books for 2022? I know some of you do, and I know it's going to be a lot of photographers and planners, but it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be something you've necessarily booked. If you have a sense of what is going to happen, that would be great as well. So, does anybody want to raise their hand? And if they do, where do I see that on my screen? Oh, There we go. Jennifer.
Good morning. Right now, everything for 2022 is a postponement. I can tell you that.
Everything at the AGO are postponements from 2020.
Yeah.
From 2021.
Yes.
2021.
Yeah. Confirmed. Anything confirmed is a postponement.
Are you getting inquiries?
Yes. And I have dates on hold, but nobody's signing a contract yet. But anything confirmed was a postponement.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is on hold? What size the weddings might be?
In a perfect world, a lot of these couples still want to have a large scale wedding, but they know that that may or may not be reality. So a lot of the inquiries that are coming in right now have like option A and option B. And we're all waiting because it could be a 50-person wedding, but if they can have it, they've got a tier 2.
Right.
So that's how most of the couples that I'm interacting with are planning and thinking.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else want to share what is happening? Antonia, did I just see you?
Yeah, I did. I'm actually working with 3 brides right now for 2022. They already have their gowns because they were planning on getting married in 2021. That's been postponed. So yeah, I actually, accessories tend to be the very last thing people think of. And I already have 3 brides for 2022. So I find that interesting. I find that at the Wedding Co show, I get, I chat with brides who are, looking 2 years ahead at their wedding, but they haven't bought their gowns. So, or their apparel, accessories are irrelevant at that time. But right now they're set, everything's in place.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're starting to chat about how they'll be accessorizing for 2022, which is interesting.
And do you see any type of theme? Or is it just they're all really different?
For me, I mean, I don't know. I find I attract a fairly specific type of bride, which is, non-blingy, non-banquet hall, very Wedding Co bride. We don't tend to get traditional brides as a group, I think. So I'm finding, a lot of natural elements, a lot of definitely no bling, a lot of flowers. I guess not really what you'd expect, but just non-traditional, which is pretty vague, but
well, no, everything helps, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. I think it's fascinating that I think it's great that because they're so planned, they've so got their planned, they're actually working on the details that they would leave at the last minute.
Exactly.
So people who are the last minute people, watch out. This is what is going to come down the pipes, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see. It's interesting for me because I don't usually get them till much later. So
yeah. Thank you. Jenny, do you want to?
Good morning.
Jenny.
So for 2022, I've only got a couple weddings booked. They're all postponements from 2021. And they are all postponing because they have bands and they want to get drunk and they want to party and they want to dance with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's like important to them. They didn't want to just, they had always dreamed of having a big wedding where they could dance and party. And
what venues are they at?
Henley Room, Artscape Gibraltar, and then this like property thing in Muskoka.
So what size would they be?
We've got a 120, I don't know, between 120 and 160.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Catherine. You're doing great.
Michelle, love it. We're getting all the details. I thought we would be getting photographers speaking, but
Yeah, so I have a handful of bookings for 2022 now, and I would say half of them are postponements and half of them are new, like fresh. But they're all like 120 plus events.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, the ones that have postponed, very much like Jenny was saying, they're just like they're not willing to compromise the big party and want what they want. So they're just pushing until they can get it. And then the like new bookings that I have are from brides who have flat out just kind of said to me, like, I'm afraid that with everyone postponing, that dates and vendors are going to get snatched up. So they're like in a state of almost like pre-panic where they want to like get all their vendors and everything locked down before this like trickle effect starts happening into 2022. So yeah.
I think that's fascinating because 2021, the rest of 2021 is so undecisive that people are, I don't want to say they're panicking, they're just being very prepared to get what they want for 2022.
It's a lot of pressure on 2022.
It's a lot of pressure on 2022. And here's a bit of my theory is that I think you guys are going to be really busy. And part of what I want to draw out from this and from the co-marketing initiative that Megan and Jenny and I are putting together is that you're actually doing what you want to be doing and that you're organized about it. Because if stuff is going to start coming at you quickly, you want to make sure, I know everybody wants a lot, but you can control what's coming down by how you market yourself. And I think it's really important to get into 2022 organized. And what we're going to present at the end is that if we can relieve you from the marketing of 2022, you can just focus on booking 2022, but you need to still be marketing. So I really want people to take this whole mastermind as the thought of really trying to be organized so you can really concentrate and be really effective during 2022, but be doing what you want to be doing. That for me is really what I think the key is here. You don't want to panic right now because you're grabbing every wedding that's coming. You want to be really organized and you want to know that I'm doing the flowers I want to be doing. I'm not doing the one-off flowers and I'm doing them. I'm taking them now because that's create your 2022. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. That was great. Holly, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, no, I can share. So I have a week ago, I had 4 weddings for 2022. One of my brides just flat out canceled. She said planning a wedding during COVID is too stressful and she doesn't want to get married anymore.
Oh, she doesn't want to get married or she doesn't want to have a wedding?
Sorry, she doesn't want to have a wedding and she doesn't know what she wants to do anymore.
Right.
So I had one full out cancellation, which was sad. And then I have one booking that wasn't a postponement. Like I do have one booking for 2022. And then my other 2, one is a postponement from 2020. And then the other one is a bride who just decided to turn her wedding into a micro wedding for 2022.
A micro wedding in 2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And again, maybe this is too stressful, right? So it's like, and who knows, seeing the micro weddings on all our blogs now, it's starting to inspire people. Like I wasn't sure, I think there's gonna be a mix. And again, if you're the one, like if you know, your hair stands on end when you hear micro wedding, or that's something that I think you need to be in tune with. If you hear 250 people wedding and you're like, oh gosh, not the wedding you want to be marketing for. Be really aware of what you're reacting to when people say, you know, what size wedding or where a wedding is. Holly, can you share maybe where the weddings are? Venues are a real indicator of couples.
One of them, the one that postponed from 2020, is at the Boulevard Club.
Oh, nice.
And then we are searching for venues for the other 2. For the micro wedding, I think we might do it at Montecito, the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then the other one, we're searching for venues right now, so we don't know yet.
Did they share with you why they went to a micro wedding?
It was my recommendation, and they were very against it at first, and then so they just kind of like put things on pause for like 8 months, and then they came back to me and were like, no, you're right, it's going to be way more relaxing having a micro wedding, and we're going to get like they wanted really nice stuff for a lower budget, so now they can actually have that nice stuff because they're paying for half the amount of guests. So it really like it worked for them. Like I really thought they should do it. So
Great, thank you. I just want to, someone's just asked, if you want to raise your hand, you go to the bottom of your screen. There's a little icon that says reactions. Just click on that. So if you want to put your hand up. Antonia. Did you re-raise your hand? Oh, your hand's just, okay. Sonia. Sonia from the Steam Whistle.
Yeah, so just another venue perspective. We're in the same boat, I guess, as the AGO. So lots of postponements. We're postponing well into the fall now to next year. So I would say we've shifted 30 weddings, canceled 15, and are probably holding on about 25. But we've blind booked 27 new weddings for next year, which is really exciting, but now we're fully out of dates with all the date changes. So I have to reach out to people in October and be like, hey, just making sure you're not moving to 2022 because I'm out of dates.
Sorry, what's blind booking?
Like they haven't been to the venue.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Which really freaks me out. It's just that they've, the venue's been around, there's lots of photos, there's lots of stuff online. But yeah, like I've had 27 couples that haven't had a site visit.
Right. That's a lot. So you're booked every date so far.
We're booked every Saturday from May 1st to October 31st in Pilsner, and maybe have 5 dates left in Locomotive.
Wow.
But it's not just all new sales. Like half of it's new business and half of it's moved business.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sonia. That's great. Corinne.
Finally figured out the hand raising thing.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, mine was different for anybody who wants to raise their hand. It's under participants for me. It's not under the reactions tab.
Thank you.
So hello, I'm a photographer. And so far in 2022, I have a combination of new bookings, all of which are big weddings again, and postponements from 2020 originally. And what I'm finding is happening a lot of the time right now is I'm getting a lot of inquiries coming through for 2022, and I send out my information. I don't hear back. I follow up, and everybody's telling me that they're just waiting. They're just gathering information and waiting because I think they've seen how people who were trying to plan big weddings in 2021 got burned, and they're nervous, because it's still also uncertain. So people are wanting to, but I'm finding they're not quite ready to commit.
Right. And when you say big wedding, what kind of number is that?
Oh, like 100 to 150 people.
Okay. And venues? Toronto?
You know what? I actually couldn't tell you that off the top of my head.
Right.
I get a lot of like private home weddings. So I know I have a couple of those on there, but I can't remember what the other like public venues are.
Is that something, like, it's interesting that you say I get a lot of private homes. Do you think that's part of your marketing, even subconsciously? That there's something about the way you present yourself that people are like, we're having a wedding at our house and she's the one.
Yeah, I definitely show a lot of that online. I do a lot of blogging as part of my marketing. I have like a weekly blog that comes out, and it's partly my area too, where a lot of what I'm trying to attract is people from, Toronto or with sort of like Toronto backing, but who are coming up to Collingwood also.
Yeah.
And they have bigger properties, or their families or friends have bigger properties here that they can do. But I definitely show a lot of that on my blog, and I do a lot of like tips for that on the blog. I'll do like the best pop-up tents for backyard weddings, things like that.
Yeah. See, interesting, right? Marketing. Thank you. That was great. Melissa. We'll spend a few more minutes on this and then we'll move forward.
Hey everyone.
Hey, Melissa.
I'm a photographer, and I just wanted to give some insight um, on a Chilean perspective. So I do photography in Toronto and also Santiago de Chile. And I've been noticing that my weddings here in Toronto and Ontario, the ones I have booked for 2022 are actually new bookings. And the ones that have been postponed from 2020, they're looking to postpone. Some of them are postponing to 2023. And I'm just like, what? But the Chilean weddings that I have, I wasn't able to do them in February, unfortunately, because of the COVID. But they, so I gave them on to other photographers over there, and also they just ended up doing like a little civil marriage. And I'm finding that over there, they're not planning so far in advance for their weddings. So they're looking for a photographer like 2 months before the date, because they don't know. Like I guess they're just as frustrated as all the other people in Ontario, and they're just like, oh, we're just gonna go with the flow. So, and for that, it's helped me because right now I'm redoing my marketing for over there for the wedding season. And I'm like, all right, I got some time to do this, focus on my marketing over there, and we'll see where it goes, what happens. Yeah, just a little perspective on that.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, a lot of it depends too on how far ahead people are in vaccinations and things like that. So, does anybody else want to share about what they see, what they think will happen in 2022? Oh, good timing. This is all going to wrap together, I guarantee it, at some point. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, strategy. Being that most of you are solopreneurs, the best strategy you have is the culture of your brand. Culture is the emotional side. It is how you connect to potential clients through the attitudes and behaviors of you, your team, and the companies you associate with. It is the feeling you evoke in a client meeting, Instagram posts, print ads, how you answer the phone, if you answer the phone, how you work with other industry members. It is the feeling people have about your brand. In other words, if you and your team and the other businesses you co-brand with will have a sense of how couples want to feel, this will resonate in the culture of your brand and with potential clients. So for example, I think it's really important in branding that you put yourself as your potential client, the client that you want, and you try to understand how they're feeling. And I think that's important right now in particular. So for example, in 2021, these are just my thoughts, and I think I come this from the photography perspective. Clients want to feel safe and they want to feel seen. I think in 2022, I think there's going to be excitement, and I think there's going to be a really big sense of relief. Pie in the sky, 2023, fresh, and the start of something new. So I would like to open up the floor to all of you to share how you think couples want to feel. Again, be very aware what resonates with you. There are going to be many feelings shared. If something piques your interest, this is something you need to investigate in terms how you deliver the message of your brand. I think if you are talking to people in 2021 who are still thinking of getting married, I think this is actually key. How you deliver safety, how do you deliver seen is the culture of you, is who you are, especially being a solopreneur. So does anybody want to share how you think couples will want to feel? Because this is going to be really important in your messaging moving forward. And again, I'm using 2022, like you guys are going to be busy. This applies 2022, 23. So Michelle, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So I think like my experience so far, and I think this will continue over the next like year, maybe two, is a lot of my clients, I do florals, and they want to know, like, they want all the information. So normally when I send like a quote, in years past, like they're just interested in looking at the quote. Now they'll say, do you have a contract I can also look at with the quote? Which is like, I mean, traditionally, that's kind of like someone asks for the contract if they're serious about booking you. At this point, people just want the information. They want to know what their options are. They want to know, you know, if this happens, then this, then what about here? What is the payment structure? Does that change if COVID, you know, they want all the information. So I think my clients so far, and I think in the future, they want options and they want information. They want almost like scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, and then like what happens. So they want everything to be kind of like as much as they want as little surprise as possible.
And
Yeah.
these are 2022 clients.
Yeah.
So I would narrow that down to security.
Yeah, sure. That's a good word. Yeah.
They really want to feel secure about what's coming ahead and that they have options.
Yeah.
So again, this kind of messaging is what you have to make them feel on the phone, right? Like that is key. I think too, talking with clients who are doing their postponements, I think, you know, they're going to be so relieved. I think people are going to be excited, but again, 2022, they're going to feel anxious. So throughout your messaging and your team, it's really important that this comes across, whether that's your Instagram post. How do you make someone feel secure on an Instagram post? How do you make someone feel safe? How do you make them know that you're not scared to talk about these things? Like that's worthy of an Instagram post. You know, we can walk through all the, again, this is the kind of messaging. This is why I really hope people chime in on this one, because this is really important that we try to harvest how we think people will feel, because you can speak to that. That's what you're speaking to in your marketing. Jennifer, do you want to jump on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say what I'm finding interesting is like, even whether it's a postponement or a new booking, nobody's asking me about cleaning the venue. The anxiety is about whether or not they can have the event, which I found is interesting. Not a single person has asked me yet about any protocols, what we're doing. So I found that kind of interesting when you were talking about, you know, being safe. No one's asking me about that. It's more the anxiety of whether they can have the event, and then the people who are planning for next year are excited. That's sort of the feelings that I'm getting from people, which I thought was interesting.
Well, and I do think right now, like it's hard to promote excitement because we don't want to excite people and then have to pull the plug.
Yeah.
But I think there's a way to be excited and convince them of security, meaning there are options, right? Like we can move forward, but I will keep you secure in the fact that there are options, right? And I know people's contracts are so detailed now. So remember, that's backing you up as well, right? Like that's the key. So that's great. Thank you. Katerina.
Hey. So I'm a photographer. And one of the things that I've noticed lately, more so with my couples postponing from 2020 and 2021 to 2022, is that they just want to know that there's somebody in their corner. I think there's been a lot of things that have come out. There was an article yesterday or the day before about, you know, these horror stories that couples have been going through with deposits and things like that. So one of the main things is they want to know as much information as possible, and they want to have like regular communication from me sort of like what's happening, you know, where do we stand, whether I can work because I'm in Toronto and I do book a lot of couples outside of Toronto. But it's mostly the communication aspect, but also just the idea that they have someone that kind of has their back. I have very like close relationships with my clients. I only do a couple of weddings a year. So that allows me to do it, but it's also a little bit emotionally exhausting, I'm finding, because people just, I feel like the expectations are a lot higher on vendors, on wedding vendors, as a result of COVID. So yeah, so really like the security is, as you all talked about, but just this idea of like, they have someone in their corner who, you know, kind of has their back. I've been getting a lot of that sort of from my clients, like, oh, it's nice to know that you've got our back. And I'm like, well, of course. But yeah, that's just something that I've noticed that's been quite different from past weddings and past couples.
Okay, I think pulling emotion out is really important. Although it's emotionally draining on you guys, this is emotional for them in that, number one, that they actually might have their wedding, but that they still are finding it difficult to make these hard decisions, right? So they're up and down. Look at Holly. Someone's just like, nope, I can't even actually do it. So how do you help them with this emotional roller coaster through your Instagram posts or through your blog or whatever? Like, how do you keep that feeling of security and you know, keep them calm during this period, and that you've got their back? You know, we know 2022 is still a thing. Talk to us. We've got a plan. You know, these are the things that you want to communicate. Thank you. That was great. Thanks, Katerina. Adiola. Are you still there? We lost your face. Oh, there you are. I think you need to turn your mic on.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, you have your hand up.
I had it up before the previous. Oh. Okay, I should lower it now. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. But do you want to chime in? How do your clients want to feel, or how are they feeling?
Well, I was going to share that. Again, similar, actually, I think Jenny and some people said what I was going to say. It's 50-50. We've had postponements. I now have a third couple that have postponed from 2020 to 2021 and now 2022. And the reason is because the kind of weddings that I would say we do mostly are bigger weddings. So I was actually on the phone at 9:30 a.m. this morning, a wedding that should have happened on June 12th, 500 guests, which moved from 2020. Now of course, I've been telling them, guys, we've got to move, but they finally said, okay, pull the plug, let's move it to 2022. But to be honest, everyone is still worried that what if 2022 turns out to be like 2021? You know, so there's still that anxiety a little bit. However, what I'm also finding is that some couples are over it. They're just like, you know what, let's just get married. Mm-hmm. We'll have a small wedding now, and then we'll have a big party later. Now, if that big party would happen, I don't know. Because you know how it is, life will happen, and they might choose not to spend all those dollars. So I'm just finding that I'm having a mixed bag in terms of, there's some couples that are like, you know what, that's it, let's just get married. And there are some that will they're just pushing the envelope until they can have the kind of wedding that they really want. So,
you know, that's great insight, Adiola. I think worry is a really, you know, we've sort of been talking about that, but worry is another word that describes how people are feeling, especially these people who have been postponing.
Yes.
Right? Like, how do you communicate? How do you help them with their worry? How do you communicate that we understand that you're worried? Also, you know, people are determined. Someone just said that, I can't remember, sorry, who said that they were just like, nope, we're just going to get married and we're going to do it. We'll have a small one. Maybe Holly with the micro wedding. You had one that switched to micro weddings, I think, or yeah, it's like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Right. So there's another thing. How do you, through the culture of your business, through how you behave, how do you allow them to feel comfortable enough with you that you will take care of them? I think that's really huge. And it's taking that, being able to do that on the phone is different than being able to say it in your Instagram post or your blog post. How can, because we're all, you know, we love to show beautiful weddings, micro weddings right now. How can you take that opportunity, sharing these micro weddings and saying, we understand that people are still worried? Like, how can you word that so that people know, as Katerina said, that we've got your back. We have the systems in place that if we have to change, it's okay. So these are the people that haven't booked you yet, that you're trying to get through your marketing for 2022. What are these words that we're trying to come up with that will help them feel? So we have to understand how they're feeling now. I love this. I love trying to pull these words out. Laura, did you want to add in on this?
Yes, I think the basis of this all is that I found that from my experiences that I've allowed them to grieve having that big event, grieve having family come from out of town, out of the country. And I think allowing them that opportunity to do that, and then having those conversations about that this is a reality. And the second thing is taking them back to the reason why they wanted to get married, because when in reality, I may be trying to put myself out of business, is that at the end of the day, it's going to be the two of you left. So really, what do you want to see happen if you have to make changes to your plans? And then do really think about having a celebration a year or two after. So that part was that I had to learn how to let them grieve. And I found that suggestions and conversations became easier and changed. And my tone wasn't as harsh or strict with them as to this is reality we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. I didn't go there too. I wasn't thinking of grief as a feeling that that people might be having. So that's great. Thank you, Laura. That's awesome. Does anybody else want to share anything about you know, I think we're going to get to the point of, you know, 2023 when it's fresh and a new beginning and new start. And that's a whole other set. Every year, every 6 months, we have to figure out, you know, with the climate, especially now, how are couples going to want to feel? How are they feeling? And that's how you have to relay your message, by going from their side of it. So that was great. Thank you. You guys are keeping me right on schedule here. So I want to move on to the more sort of practical part of marketing. And this is actually the part that has helped me a lot, and is a reason I've gone in this direction with doing this mastermind like this. Is a plan. And I asked that question to the group, who has a plan? And I think especially during this time and going into, again, uncertainty, the more plan you have right now allows you to work with the uncertainty on a much calmer level. So again, if you have the next 8 months of your marketing figured out, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to make a plan. If you have that, then all these sort of uncertain things and emotions you're going to have to deal with, you don't have to worry about, because you've already got your plan, because we need to keep marketing. So the plan, innovation is meaningless without a plan. A plan means making decisions. Unless we have a well thought out in your calendar plan of how to share your innovation and culture, you will forever be in a state of struggle. struggle is the lack of decision making. What does a marketing plan look like? And what is in your calendar from now until December 31st of 2021 for your marketing plan? I think it would be helpful if people who have a marketing plan are able to share what their marketing plan looks like, how detailed they are, how effective they are. And do you guys schedule co-branding? Is this something that you guys actually do together? So I don't know if anybody, I know that Megan and I work out a social media marketing plan, which has been a game saver for me. I work out a plan with my digital marketing, my paid marketing manager. We work out a plan, and we did that for the summit, and it was very helpful. Megan and Julia will be on the April 6th call to talk about tactics and sponsored posts and how to make a plan around that. But I was wondering if people could share what their marketing plans, I know there are a few of you because you answered me, the email. What do your marketing plans look like? And what is in your calendar from now until the end of December? And if nobody has anything to say, I think that's fascinating in itself. So does anybody have a plan that they have right now that they'd like to share? Okay, this is just awesome for me. Because what we've got planned is going to help you a lot. Corinne, can you help us out with this?
Okay, put my hand up because I felt like you were looking at me here.
No, I wasn't. I'm looking at everybody.
I just know we talk about this a lot.
I'm okay. If I'm left high and dry, I'm still okay. I've done it enough now.
I'm a big planner. My mastermind group people are probably rolling their eyes at me right now. I love planning everything out so that I can sort of think about it all at once, make sure it's cohesive, and then I never have to think about it again, and it sort of removes that stressor. So I generally every year sort of at the end to
Can I
start.
just stop you for 1 second? Can you just hold your mic out? It's just rubbing up against your mic on your, it's rubbing on your.
I didn't even know that I had a mic on there. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. I do a whole sort of like marketing review end of the year and create my new plan at the start of the new year. Currently, I don't have a great example of my plan for this year because I've definitely stepped back from the wedding stuff a little bit right now, sort of working on other things, pivoting, changing. But overall, I try to sort of map out, I focus definitely more on like passive marketing and organic traffic, things like that. So I create like a huge SEO plan. I create a social media plan. I always fall off the bandwagon with that one because I just don't like doing it. And then I map out at the beginning of the year budgeting for paid advertising. So like what types of industry groups I'm going to join, shows, like other sort of career groups, things like that, what I'm going to join. And usually on a normal year, I don't revisit that plan at all. I have sort of an Excel spreadsheet with each month what is supposed to happen. If it happens, great. Sometimes it doesn't. But I don't sort of put the time into thinking about it again once I already have it structured. Obviously, this past year we all had to change, so I kind of tore up my marketing plan and threw it out for the year.
But the beauty of you actually having a plan is whatever you pivot to, you have that experience of understanding how to make a plan too, which is great, right? Like now you can start making your plan for your other business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the same framework and it follows through and it helps keep things cohesive for me. So for things like my SEO, it makes sure that I'm focusing on the right keywords sort of year after year instead of getting distracted and excited about new things and trends and stuff like that.
So when you make a plan, do you find that just actually having the plan relieves a lot of uncertainty for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It relieves a lot of the sort of day-to-day decision fatigue that I think we get sometimes as entrepreneurs. I definitely, wake up some mornings if I don't have a plan, then I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do first. I don't know what's going to move the needle. And then I just sort of get to back and open my binder and figure out what it is that I'm supposed to be getting done for my marketing specifically that month.
Well, and it's interesting because we don't make a plan with the idea of it being perfect. We make a plan, so it's just a structure that when the time comes, you can actually tweak the plan, right? But you know that whatever's coming, you have to do it, right? So it's really just that framework to keep you accountable, which sounds like sometimes you don't do it, which is interesting in itself. But yeah, my whole thing is just the actual plan is such a relief to then deal with the stuff when you get into the weeds, right? To deal with the other stuff because you know it's working for you and that you don't have to revisit it until next month. So yeah, I think it just keeps the calm. Thank you. Sure. Wendy.
Hi, everybody. So this is the first year that I've gone out on my own, building pretty much my business from the ground up. So what I've taken from my past experience being on the corporate side, every year I worked on a sales action plan. So what I would do is every month I'd have targeted, how am I going to prospect clients? Which organizations do I want to join? What seminars are happening when and what months those are? And then I look back to January and February of this year, and there were so many things going on that I wanted to, and I didn't have a plan at that time, but I recall the first week of February, I was involved with 3 different things, and it was very overwhelming. So after that, I am roughly doing a plan similar to what I've done in the past. So I can plot out things and actually look at, okay, like this organization has these seminars and conferences in which months and kind of plot it visually. And what I'm also doing, so instead of focusing on, prospecting like clients or whatever, now I'm prospecting vendors. So which vendors do I want to work with? Who should I connect with? And I I'm kind of grouping them to make sure that my circle of vendors are people that share the same values and beliefs and, have the same, if they're florals, they're of my style, and photography as well. So I'm kind of narrowing it down right now, and hopefully I'll be able to reach out to everyone that I want to work with, to make those connections. So that's now a new part of putting a plan together. It's not just getting new clients now, but it's networking with the vendor side. So that's really helped me in the past. And then I would do things like back in the day when you can go out, schedule 10 coffee dates with somebody for this month. And now that we can't do that, we can still do the virtual coffee. So I need to get into that mindset again. And if it doesn't happen, then it's my priority for the next month. So what I'll do is I have my year plan really rough, but every month at the beginning of the month, I review it again. And then I will move things around. And if I find out about a new organization that wasn't on my radar or I hadn't known about, then I'll plug it in somewhere else that may seem a little bit more relevant. Yeah, and when I do my plans, I'm pretty much, what am I doing now that's going to affect me 6 months from now? Because that's usually the turnaround time when you see results. So it's difficult doing it on my own right now, but I've definitely taken the skills from before and trying to really map it on detail. And like you said, Catherine, it was about accountability. I would review this with my colleagues, Jennifer would know, and we would say, okay, this is who we want to target, and also collaborating with other vendors. Hey, how can we work together? How can I get on your preferred vendor list? How can you introduce me, to whomever could use my service? So,
Wendy, I think you've brought up a really good point, and that is, a lot of times when we think about marketing, we forget that as solopreneurs, our number one way of marketing is referrals. It's referrals from clients and other vendors. And if we spend all our time trying to figure out what Instagram posts we're going to do, I would guarantee you that that time spent with picking up the phone and phoning a potential partnership with a potential vendor is might be worth more than trying to figure out your Instagram post. So there are, because everything we do is marketing as people who own our own businesses. And I want to also reiterate that part of your marketing plan is the Wedding Co schedule, right? Like that's why I actually gave everybody that calendar to this year, because you have to look at us as part of your strategy and part of your plan. We are part of your strategy. And it's really important. And I know most of, again, I'm preaching to the converted, but this, when you speak, this is all marketing when we do this. So it's really important that this plan isn't just about when you're doing your paid, when you're doing it's when you're having coffee, when you're reaching out, when you're, following up with one of your clients because you want that referral from them. So you're following up and you're saying, I was so thrilled to photograph your wedding, whatever. Could you give me a testimonial? Like this, it's so encompassing. And I will be honest with you, this is why I didn't want to start with tactics. I didn't want to start with hashtags. I didn't want to start with talking about Instagram and TikTok and all of that. I really needed to ground people in the fact that that is not marketing, especially that is marketing, but for us independent business owners, the really high level marketing is the stuff. And here's the thing, it's the hardest, but it's the reaching out, it's getting those referrals, and it's working together. And what we're going to talk about in a second is the co-branding. That's what I want to get to. But Adiola, can you chime in for us, please?
Yes, and I'll try and keep this short and sweet. So, this has been good so far. Thank you, Catherine. I just wanted to add that, so for me, because your question was marketing strategy, I realized that
marketing plan.
Sorry, marketing plan. So for me, I did a whole list, and I realized that sometimes it's smart to just focus on maybe 3. What do you want to focus on for your marketing plan? Is it the vendor? Is it the vendor? What do you call it? Networking? Is it Instagram? Is it blogging? Because for me, I did this whole strategy and I had like 12 things that I started working on for my plan. And I found that when you're a solopreneur, you can't do everything. And if you try to do it all, some things will suffer. Some things will fall through the cracks. So I had to step back, and then I started learning that there's a power in saying no. So I found that I was booking too many meetings, it's great to network, but if you're too overwhelmed, then either your clients, like your deliverables will suffer or your marketing plan will suffer. So I just wanted to share that it's great to make a plan, because there's that saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So that plan also.
And I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I think you're right. I mean, it takes a lot to go out to coffee with a lot of people. Strategize this. The Wedding Co hosts 2 only social networking events a year. We host 2. Who are you going to target at those events?
Yes.
Get it all done in one night. This is where we need to think. This is where, too, we need to be part of more of your strategy. How do you get the most out of this? But I agree with you. Like, I had a realization the other day. I like doing newsletters. They might be like, that is what I love to do. So if I try and do newsletters and blog posts and this and that, I mean, the Wedding Co, the stuff that Megan does is different, but I'm like, the other day, I was like, I love doing the newsletters. That's what I love doing. I'm going to put my energies into that and see where that, and really focus on getting new subscribers and getting instead of whatever else I was going down the rabbit hole with. So I think you bring up an excellent point, Adiola, of really seeing what you're good at. Do we have to be great at all of the social platforms? No, but if you pick one, you might make a dent.
I just wanted to add as well that one thing I learned from my marketing plan is to also use technology. So if you if you, for example, say, I know we're not talking about Instagram today, but social media, whatever it is, Pinterest, you can use apps that help you plot out your plan for the next month, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, and just let it automate. And you will see you'll buy back time. Spend 3 hours to plan out your month or your year, whatever, and then take your time and your life back. I'll stop
Well,
there.
and I think you're right. I mean, I think, you know, one of the reasons this mastermind has gone this way is because I've experienced it with Megan having, you know, being a month ahead in our social media posts. We don't want to go too far ahead in terms of that, but you know, we meet every Monday. We're a month out. I know what blogs I have to do, and things like that. So there's also the option of having someone help you with that on contract. You can also have someone help you with the wording of this. These are the feelings I want people to feel about my business. I am not a writer. I don't pretend to be. To have someone help me with that, write me up 10 taglines, different taglines on who I am, what I want to be doing in 2022. There's no reason you don't have to do this all yourself. So thank you, Adiola. That was excellent. I know, okay, do we have time for me to talk about what our little initiative is? If you have to go, this will be on the recording and you'll get an email about it anyway. So thank you. That was awesome. Okay, so this brings me to the Wedding Co editorial co-marketing initiative. We would like to put this framework into action, focusing on planning, tactics, and harnessing the power of this amazing collective. We will create a 6-month co-marketing plan from July 1st to December 31st between the Wedding Co and the members who choose to participate. Advantages of co-marketing and branding. Networking, you can network with everybody. Improve your customer service, being that you're working with people, they will recommend you. Decreased costs, boost credibility and exposure. So this is a Wedding Co sponsored editorial initiative. Each member will be sponsored with $100 up to 25 people. You have to create a group of at least 2 or more and no more than 6. I will tell you the full details are coming for this, so don't have to write anything down. I just wanted to give you a sense of what we were doing. So I said it was going to be a 6-month co-marketing. It's actually 8 months. It's actually 9 months. So all the work is at the front end. So in April, you will register. You will submit a concept to the Wedding Co. So again, this is either a group of 2 up to a group of 6. So you will work together. You have to be Wedding Co members. You send us a shot list in May. We want to know what your shots are. And remember, it's based on a style shoot, but it's an editorial shoot. You are showing us what you can do. We wanted to change it from editorial because we want to get away from what these style shoots are looking like, and we want you to be really creative. You can only use Wedding Co members, so you are going to be limited. Creativity loves constraints, I will tell you that. May, we will need a shot list, and you can start shooting. June, all the deliverables will have to be made to the Wedding Co. Deliverables are, we haven't defined this completely, blog submissions, social media posts, stories, reels, videos. It's everything that for the next 6 months, based on the innovation or the shoot that you are doing in the next few months, we want all those deliverables by the end of June so that they are rolled out for the rest of the year and you don't even have to think about it. On our end, you have to deliver, you have to roll yours out, and you're accountable to everybody else in your group to roll out those deliverables. But what it is, it's a schedule and it's a plan that's already made for you. So it's like a style shoot. We will sponsor it to a certain point, and you create these groups, you go out, you do your shoot, but we want deliverables. And then for the next 6 months. You don't even have to worry about it from July till December. So as a group, you will have a schedule. Who's scheduling that blog post? Because we were talking about style shoots and wondering, when you do these style shoots, what is the rollout plan of all the images? What is the rollout plan? What is the messaging? And how is it scheduled so that you get the most out of this style shoot that you've put in? So that was kind of a mishmash of what this is going to look like. I will be sending it out much more formal in the next week or so. And then on April 6th, when we talk tactics, we will also be talking about this shoot. So I know there's probably like 1.5 million different questions, but does anybody want to ask a question? Melissa, did you want to ask something about that?
Yeah. Is there a particular theme, or can we just choose anything?
So based on the conversation we had today, you need to innovate for 2022. You need to keep innovating. What is new? This is why we don't actually want it to be like a style shoot. We want to see new. And I'm not going to lie to you, we want it. The Wedding Co. wants it. We want to scream what is new from our members, right? So if you're going to organize yourself in a group that has the same culture, same values, you know, or if you're exploring something new, diversity, whatever, venues, having new diverse types of weddings. But we really want some innovation.
So you mean like something completely different than what we would see in your basic online publication, like, I don't know, Wedding Bells or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really want people to think about what they're making for the future, not what they've already done.
Right. So we can really push the envelope then, right?
Yes, we want the envelope pushed.
Cool. Thank you.
But the key with it is we want to take you from that to having it so scheduled out that during these months when there's uncertainty in 2021, like all this sort of crazy, that you know you've got this incredible shoot with the innovation that you are excited about, that's rolling out. The people you do it with, they've got your back because they're rolling it out as well. And that brings me to Amanda, who asked a question about tagging and stuff like that. That's where tactics come in, right? You have to own up to making sure everybody is tagged, everybody is, you know. So we want to go from conception of the new idea right down to the last period on the last Instagram post we do on December 31st. But we want it scheduled we want it all scheduled by the end of June. So your plate is free for the rest. I mean, you can do other stuff, and please do, but this one innovation, this one new thing that you are doing, we want it. We don't want it to go to anybody else. We want to share it, and we want to co-market it with you. That's our job, right? That is our job. And we want your innovations. It'll be much more, I hope, clear with the information I send, but that's the general idea of it. It's going to be work at the beginning. It's going to be work. And I understand, I said to Jenny the other day, Jenny and Megan, nobody might do it, right? Like, and that's okay. But I guarantee you the work at the beginning and knowing you have this plan coming out for the rest of the months, I think would be very interesting. It's an experiment, right? And it's, for me, most of it is so that you get the feeling of what it's like to actually have something planned out that far. Wendy?
Just a question about the participants. So if it's to a group of 6, obviously if it's like a smaller group, we would have to find other collaborators that are not.
Nope. You can only use Wedding Co members.
Okay. Okay. And that's everything from like, if we wanted to do florals, like attire, all of that. Okay.
So here's the thing. Michelle, don't get mad at me. Maybe there's a style shoot that doesn't have florals. Wouldn't that be exciting? I want you guys to push the envelope, right? I want you to innovate something that your organization hasn't done. And the more people in your group, the more exposure, the more collaboration, the more, you know, that list that I read off, the more networking, co-branding, decreased cost, but more of a budget. If there's more of you in that group, you have a bigger budget.
Oh.
So, you know, Sin might be run off her feet because she's the only one doing engagement rings. Or you don't have a shoot that has engagement rings, right? Let's do something new. Adiola?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what Wendy said, because I was thinking it, but I was like, maybe I don't understand. So for a shoot, what if you have a concept that actually requires more than 6 people and you can find everything you need within the Wedding Co? Because again, maybe I'm not thinking as creative, but in my mind, I'm thinking a dress, florals, cake, right? Accessories, the photographer.
Actually, you know what, Adiola? I'm going to stop you there. No, because if you do that, then it's going to look like everything else. I am going to stop you there. I am going to put a limit on it. I think it's really important. I also think the scheduling part of that is be much more difficult. If you have 10 people, that's just going to be, I actually even think 6 is a lot, because remember, you have to create a schedule. For us, you need a schedule, and for all of you, part of the team, when are you rolling this out? Right? And it's a long time to roll it out, but you know, let's keep it as sort of manageable. And yeah, I only want to see, I want creativity, I want constraints. I want you to think out of the box. Sorry. You know what, too? This is going to evolve. We're just launching this. This is new. We're really excited about it. Rules might change, but we got to start somewhere. But this is sort of where we're at. And again, the idea is taking you through this framework from innovation to what's your messaging, what do couples want to feel. We're creating that plan, and then you're scheduling your what you're going to do within your group. Like I keep saying to Jenny, you're so good live on Instagram. Like I want to hear. So if Jenny's in a group, she's the one that does the live stuff. But when she does it is the key. Me, if I was in the group, I would send the newsletter because I like doing newsletters. Like you have so many different marketing opportunities within the group, which I think and I could be wrong, and most of you might do this with your style shoots, but I think the opportunities that you do with the amount of energies that you put into these shoots, the co-branding and the opportunity to plan out a very, really optimize it, I think it gets lost. So I want to try this initiative. It's something we could repeat, something that we could do next year. Because part of it is relieving you from going down the Instagram struggle, the Instagram, when do I do it? The Instagram, how do I do it? Make some decisions, tweak the decisions as you go. But as Corinne said, having that plan is just this like, now I can really concentrate on the little things. But it's work at the end. It's a big, it's a chunk of work in the next few months. So Are we on board? Is this exciting or no?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So in terms of the groups, in order to avoid not being in a group because maybe all the groups are taken, would it be easier just to assign groups? No.
I could assign groups. But honestly, I don't. Okay, this comes back to the culture, right? You have to connect with the right people, right? And here's another thing. Don't necessarily connect with the people that you've already connected with all the time. Push your boundaries, right? If there's somebody else on this group that you think, oh my God, you could do a whole thing that's just video. Only just because I saw Louis there. But like, seriously, like, but I think it's really important that you connect with the people who want to have the same messaging.
And Catherine, one other thing, and I know that we had talked about this, and I don't know if it's still going to be this way, but at one point you had mentioned you could have more than one photographer, more than one planner, more than one whatever. Like you could have a group that's like 6 photographers who want to capture the same thing in different styles or something like that. Is that still?
Yeah, and I mean, if you have an idea and you need 3 photographers on board, I'm all over it. We did have an idea is we would love to show behind the scenes work as the Wedding Co. We would love to show our members actually in action. And we did think that it would be smart if you had a big shoot that you had 2 photographers, one to shoot details, one to shoot the behind the scenes, and then they could switch or something. But that, you know, hey, if that's, you know, it just seems like, so you make sure you get the behind the scenes work. But like, for example, like Antonia was doing these incredible videos, like these detailed little videos on her, I don't know, making time-lapse sort of videos, and they must take a whole bunch of time. But if you're able to create 5 of those for the products that you want to be selling and have them scheduled out over 6 months, like instead of, oh, I'm just gonna, like, it's just about planning, and use Antonia's ability to create one of those as part of the group. Like, use people's talents. So I'm gonna let you all go now. I will be in touch with more details about this, and then we have the tactics. We're gonna mastermind all your tagging and hashtagging and Instagramming on April 6th. And then we'll be following up more with the editorial initiative. We all good? Sounds good? Okay, thanks everyone. Email me questions.